Big thing from Maximum PC here at GDC 2016. I'm here speaking with Sarah Northway of Northway Games. And you guys are making a little VR title, that's right?
Yes, yeah, it's Fantastic Contraption. And we're actually launching, we're going to be one of the bundled titles with the HTC Vive in about 2 weeks.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, but can you give a brief overview of what the game's about?
So it's a building game. It's a little puzzle game where you have to get a ball from the building area to a goal somewhere on the level, and you have to build a contraption of some sort to do it, but there's no kind of right answers. It's a very creative game. So you can build a car, catapult, a tank, or whatever.
Yeah, so I've actually played a decent amount of the game. There's like wooden sticks that are stretchable, and then there's like this stretchy material that like you use as like a catapult or a slingshot, and then there's wheels that you can like orient either way. So like you said, you can kind of build cars or a bunch of different things. How did you guys come up with that concept?
So it's actually, it was originally a Flash game, like a little browser game in 2008. We made a 2D version of it. So it was a very minimalistic game, only the wheels and the rods, and that was it. Same general concept, but we were thinking about this game, this years ago, kind of, it was our first game that Northway Games did. And we were thinking about doing some kind of 10-year revival of it. When we tried the Vive for the first time, and it all just felt like it clicked for us, that the way that you build, right, that you would usually just use your mouse and keyboard in the original game, but we really wanted to use the hands. The touch controllers, the HTC hand controllers were such an inspiration for us, and we really wanted things that use big movements where you're walking around a space and you're moving your arms an awful lot, and it all just kind of clicked together with that old 2008 2D game that you would physically be built, like you would be inside the thing you were building it around you, and it just worked out absolutely perfectly. It also really works well with the kind of movement restriction. So right when you have a room scale VR game, you can't be walking forever in any direction. You're kind of limited to one area. So that is the build area in our game. It works really naturally, and it's just an absolutely perfect fit.
Yeah, I've only really played it in room scale, but like what happens if you can't walk at all? Do you guys have a workaround for that? Is there a teleport mechanic?
Yeah, we've got all kinds of different scales, so you can actually just play the game at a scale that fits your living room or at your desk or whatever. The desk scale is going to be coming a little after launch, but we just announced today that we're also supporting the Oculus Touch controllers when they come out later this year. So we want to make sure that everyone can play, whether or not they have a huge space, a small space, or whatever. We also have mechanics inside the game that let you kind of use the rods that you build with. You can use them as kind of an extendo arm, like a little gripper. So even in the largest area, you might not be able to reach high enough to do some of the things you want to do. So you can use these kind of extendo grippers to get up there and make changes to your contraption up at the top. So we've thought about it.
That's awesome, and I recently saw like a video that you guys did with the miniaturized version of that, and it's sort of akin to, I think you guys say it's akin to like building a little ship in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah, like
Can you elaborate more on that?
So the hand controllers, both the Vive and the Oculus, are actually very, very precise when you're sitting at a table. So you really can get very tiny little movements, and it feels a lot like a ship in a bottle, or like playing with Lego when you're a little kid, just snapping things together and making this thing, and you kind of have a space that big. I think it's adorable, especially after you've seen the full-scale game, to have it all in miniature. We've got all of our parts come from a wheelbarrow who's like a living creature. It's this green kind of cat that floats around.
It's a very cute cat, by the way.
Yeah, it's adorable.
You can pet it, by the way.
Yeah, you can scratch and pet it, interact with it, and it's just so cute to see it running around your desktop at like kind of that scale, like running around on the grass there. Yeah, it's really fun. My favorite scale is sitting like actually on the ground, like on your living room floor on the carpet, and playing in front of you. You can kind of sit cross-legged and play. It reminds me so much of being a kid and building stuff. It's really wonderful. But of course, the way that our game works, things get complicated, right? It's not just snap a few things together and go. It's like you can spend hours engineering walking machines that actually work, and very kind of ingenious solutions.
Wow, I didn't even think about like walking machines.
There's some really cool stuff. We've got sharing going in our game now, so online sharing, and occasionally we'll load up just like what have people been doing lately, and they blew my mind. Like you get some engineers, like you get people who really work with physical stuff and understand how the physics work.
Yeah.
In there, and they make mind-blowingly cool stuff. It's really neat.
It would be cool if you guys can implement some sort of 3D printing thing.
Yes, I would love to see that.
I'm sure that's kind of outside of your scope right at the moment.
It is, but we've actually talked about it. We've actually talked about hiring someone to just like figure out how that would work and make us some kind of exporter or something. We also want to do post-launch, like after the Vive launch next month. We'd really like to do user-generated levels, and I just think it would be so cool to design your little level and be able to get it 3D printed, and then have like, your little contraption 3D printed, and they kind of sit on top of each other. It would be so great.
This sort of brings me back to what we were talking about earlier. You guys are shipping with the Vive. You know, first of all, how does that make you guys feel? You know, it's quite the accomplishment to be on.
Incredibly exciting. Yeah, it's an incredible honor. Yeah, we were really shocked actually when they suggested it. Yeah, they were like us. But I understand it though, because our game is a really good example of kind of stretching the boundaries of like what VR can do that other games can't do, right? Like it's like we're not.
You can't really do this in a traditional.
Exactly. Yeah, and we really do use the hands, and we really do use all of the space. Like you're moving around. You're very, very aware of like yourself.
I think it definitely adds a sense of presence.
Presence,
right?
Yeah,
like, especially when you really feel like you're there when you're actually like ducking, going prone,
getting
looking up at the
exactly,
looking up.
And you instinctively step over parts of your contraption as you're walking around, like you totally just believe that they're real, like subconsciously.
I think the game makes a lot of sense to ship with the Vive because it's not just a demo; it's a full-fledged thing that is an infinite number of possibilities. Especially, that I'm hearing that you guys are trying to introduce player-made levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. We also would love to have, we're not positive about this, but multiplayer. We've been talking about it, and if we can get it working for the end of the year, like that would be totally amazing. Because we've done a few little tests of just putting someone else in the space with you, and it adds this added level of like presence and realism.
Teamwork, right?
Teamwork. You can just play the levels that are there co-op, but we could also do other kinds of level styles. You can have ones where you kind of race two objects, or you have like a sumo match where you're building contraptions that have to kind of fight or grapple, or like one has to push the other one off of a balance beam or something. And we got lots of ideas, and a lot of this is inspired by what people were doing with the original 2008 like 2D contraption. There was a very like vibrant community based around it. It had all kinds of neat ideas for it. So we want to incorporate a lot of that into this VR game. And also, especially with multiplayer, just even if you only have the 2 points of your two hands and the 1 point of like where is your headset, just animating an avatar with those three things, you get so much humanity out of it. Like you can tell who it is that's in the space with you, and you can tell they're human, and you can feel like emotions from them. And we really want to play with that more, because it's shockingly real to see your friend in there.
Have you guys played around with? I know I was talking to the guys from Hover Junkers, and they have a system I think they're calling it inverse kinematics, where they render the elbows and the shoulders as well, and they depending on where your hands and your heads are, or your head's at, you can kind of sort of accurately guess. Have you guys been playing around with that a little bit?
We actually just recently got into Hover Junkers. We need to get in there with more people. We need to like train our team up, or like actually get some competition going between us. But I think the thing with the kinematics is it's really useful for other people to see you and like you look like a person. But if you look down and your elbow's like that, but the game has guessed that it's kind of down here somewhere. It is unbelievably creepy. So I think they don't do that on Hover Junkers, and I can't quite remember. But like you don't see your own body.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember. Yeah.
But I can't actually remember looking down on what I saw there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's in general. Like there's a few people showing your avatar to other people and then hiding it from yourself, because it's just like kind of a little uncanny valley creepy for something to be very close to where you are, but not quite.
And I imagine like approximating where the feet are and how they move is probably tough.
Yeah, and also oddly, you don't seem to need that. Like in our game, we just give you the hand controllers, which are incredibly precise. Like they are, they look to you in VR exactly where they are in reality. So I mean, that's very useful, but it also gives you enough of a sense of presence. I feel like that you don't have to have those other things. Although we have played around with it a little bit. My favorite thing is the idea of having a nose in VR.
Okay.
Like that's, because your nose is actually always there and you can always see it. Or like your glasses, or if you have a big bushy mustache, it's like barely there in your peripheral vision. You don't think about it. But like, what would that mean to have one of those aspects in VR? And if you kind of wore that face for long enough, would you start to feel like you were that other person? It's kind of exciting. Like, stick a clown nose on you. Like, how's that going to feel? So we've been playing with that.
Can you talk about working with the VR controllers a little bit? It's kind of a new thing to have. I mean, obviously the Wii's been around for a long time, but this is an entirely new thing that you really can only do in VR to have like one-to-one motion controllers.
One-to-one motion controllers. I mean, it's really about just it being very like high fidelity, like high accuracy, really good tracking, which both the Vive and the Oculus Touch have now for sure. Like a year ago, though, it was more questionable. Like I cannot believe how quickly that hardware has advanced to the point where it really is like absolutely perfect and wonderful. And we've seen like a bunch of different iterations of the hardware, which has been really fun for us. Every time we get a new kit and open it up, and it's like, what's this one going to be like? This one feels a little better, and this one tracks a little better. And yeah, they're both astounding now. But yeah, the Vive, which is coming out soon, is just mind-blowing what they've managed to do in just a few short years.
Was there a learning curve to like programming a game to work with those controllers?
To work with that? Actually, Valve makes it really, really easy with their, they've got a Unity plugin, this like Steam VR thing, that they actually just give you models for the hands, and they give you the two cameras for the matchup of the headset, and it's all working kind of instantly. So it wasn't much of a challenge. Like we played around a bit with like which buttons should do what, because the wand controllers are kind of it's a different shape. We're not really used to games that use those kind of things. So they've got like a thumb touchpad.
Yeah, there's not very many buttons.
There's like grips on the sides, and so we played around a lot with like what buttons should be doing what. The trigger, of course, like we found that to be the most useful for everything. So that's what we use as our grab or our main verb in the game is the trigger. It's very.
Has anyone ever told you, as a Rick and Morty fan, has anyone ever told you that it looks like the Bumbus? Or I don't know if you guys are a fan of the show.
Yeah, totally. I see that. I totally see that.
How many levels are you guys targeting at launch?
So we're going to have 50 at launch, and we would like to have a level editor at some point later this year. We're working on that. So that'll be infinite levels once we have that. But I think we're planning to do some level packs kind of later along. So 50 levels for launch though, and since each one is solvable in kind of an infinite number of ways, like you don't just finish a level and you're done with it.
Right,
you want to come back with those other ideas you have.
Right.
That's an awful lot of content. Like that's hundreds of hours of content.
Okay, and we know it's going to be shipping with the Vive. Can you remind people when it comes out?
Yeah, so that is April 5th. The Vive will be shipping, and the pre-orders are open now. You can go in and get in line. I'm not sure what the ship date is right now, but people are going to start getting them on April 5th, and it will come with our game Fantastic Contraption.
Cool, thank you, Sarah.